South Africa is the most violent democracy in the world. There are 250,000 violent assaults a year, 70 murders a day, and 1 policeman is killed every 36 hours. A 90-strong elite police unit is being used to tackle the country's most dangerous situations. They are known as the Special Task Force. The Special Task Force have an extraordinary track record in fighting crime in South Africa and are used for drug busts, high-risk arrests, VIP protection, and all hostage situations. Tonight, the men have been scrambled from their base to a township near Pretoria.
Well, at this stage, what's going on is we've got another hostage situation going on in Garankuwa. What happened was the police tried to arrest a man. He opened fire on them. And, well, him and his wife went into the room. They've got him cornered at this stage. The police tried to enter the room, well, several times, more or less 3 times, of which he opened fire on them and actually shot them out the house. So we're going through and see what we can do. Maybe we can contain the situation. Hopefully the guy will come out without a fight breaking out.
At the scene, the task force are briefed by local police. Tonight they learned that the hostage taker is a 41-year-old mental patient released for 2 days' leave. The man is armed with a revolver and has taken his girlfriend hostage as he believes she has been unfaithful to him. South Africa averages 1 hostage situation a week, and in the last 20 years, the Special Task Force have not lost a single hostage.
Trust me, Malcolm.
As the task force prepare, a local police negotiator has already been trying to build a bond with the armed man and gain his trust.
You're still thinking about it? About coming out there? Let's talk like Christians, man. All Christians believe in a natural death, not death by accident. You rather die by old age or by natural causes.
Negotiations go on throughout the night, but still there is no breakthrough. As another day dawns, the man has now been holding the woman at gunpoint for 20 hours.
We are now agreeing. We are reaching a certain point. You guys are giving me false promises. Yesterday, whatever you demanded, I've given to you. But just a single demand that I've ever tried to do, ever since I negotiated with you guys, you can't do that. You failed to give me your gun. What is that again? Now you're starting to scare me.
To make matters worse, the woman is beginning to take her boyfriend's side and is threatening to shoot the police herself. The hostage taker's mental state is becoming increasingly unpredictable, and the negotiations are making no progress.
I have patience. I spend the whole night over here trying to talk to you.
The police decide they must act.
Don't you think I'm patient enough?
The Special Task Force are given control and rig explosives they will use to blow open an inner door barricaded by the armed man. The team have to be as silent as possible and creep with the explosives around the back of the house to gain entry.
The entry team has gone in. They've put explosives on the door, and on a signal they're going to blow the door as soon as they can, on which the entry team will enter the room and hopefully save the hostage.
3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go.
With the element of surprise, the team disarms the man and takes control. The woman hostage is the first to be brought outside. The hostage taker is stunned, but unhurt. Because of the girlfriend's earlier threats, the men take no chances. Both the man and woman are taken into custody. At 26 hours, this has been one of the longest hostage situations in South Africa's history. With the siege ended, everyone in the local community is delighted.
The door charges went perfectly. The entry team entered smoothly. They offered no resistance. They were taken completely by surprise. We took them with the necessary roughness. We secured them, took them out the house, and handed them over to the investigating officers. They were also very happy. So it's a well-done job. It's perfect.
Back at base, and there are congratulations for another job successfully resolved. But to continue their perfect record of hostage rescue, the unit's training never stops.
Hostage rescue is our primary job in the task force, and there's no margin for error. So we just got to practice again and again and again and make sure we do it right.
With the level of crime in South Africa at epidemic proportions, it's only a matter of hours until the men are called out again. This time, a 6-man team has been scrambled by plane to yet another township hostage situation, 300 kilometers away.
We just arrived in Petersburg Airport. Local police are now transporting us to the scene where a man is holding his girlfriend hostage. Doesn't seem like anything is going to happen. The man's not very aggressive, and it seems like negotiations are going to probably get him out.
But the outcome of tonight's job will be far more violent than anyone could have anticipated. As the Special Task Force arrive at this new hostage situation, the area has already been cordoned off. At a briefing, they learn that a 17-year-old schoolgirl has been taken hostage by her 22-year-old boyfriend, Lati Mokhokloya, after a row. He is armed with a pistol. The Special Task Force are here only in case Lati becomes violent and threatens the hostage. Up until now, Lati has been calm and seems to be on the verge of giving himself up. But every hostage situation is unpredictable, and the task force team must be ready. Lati has been holding his hostage for 9 hours.
Lati, please let the girl go now. You said in a few minutes' time you will leave her. Lati! Lati, it's getting late. I'm certain of it. The girl's parents is getting worried. Please let her go now. Please come out. Or either throw the gun out.
While the task force conceal themselves in the shadows, Lati's father is brought in to try and talk his son out. Suddenly, Lati cocks his pistol.
Lati! Lati! Lati!
With shots fired, the team fear for the hostage. They're now forced to storm the house.
Okay, stop it! Stand still! Leg still! Are you on the plat? Wat's hy regter ons? Hy het niks aan hom nie. Hy's leeg.
Okay, medics. Okay. Are you alright?
You alright?
Okay. Are you shot?
Medics.
Are you alright?
Hey, medics.
Okay. Are you shot? No. Okay, go.
As the task force entered, Lutty aimed his pistol straight at the men and was about to open fire. The team believed that they had no alternative but to shoot. The schoolgirl is treated for shock, but is otherwise uninjured. The medics work frantically to try and save Lutty.
How do you feel, Martin?
Well, after you started shooting, I threw the stun through the window and everything just froze. It felt like an eternity for the stun grenade to go off. And I couldn't move fast enough to get to the hostage. I mean, it felt like I was running through water to kick down the door. I couldn't, just unbelievable. We got the hostage and I'm just unbelievably tired now. I just want to go to rest.
The next morning, the unit learns that Lutty has died from his injuries. By now, Martin has had time to reflect.
The feeling that you have when taking somebody's life. In the Bible it says clearly, thou shalt not kill. And I'm a religious person, I'm a Christian, and it goes against every single grain that I have to take somebody's life. Last night's life, it had to be taken. It was either my life or the hostage's life. I'm not proud of it, I'm not comfortable with it, but it had to be done. It was part of the job, and I find myself reconciled in the fact that if I didn't take his life, he would have either taken my life or he would have taken the hostage's life.
The task force have a brief moment to relax and wait until the next job arrives. They don't have to wait long. That afternoon, the men receive a tip-off. An armed gang with a violent criminal history are planning a bank robbery the next morning. Superintendent Wimpy Esbach has already chosen most of his team from experienced officers and has just one place left open for the younger members.
Wie van julle wil gaan? Te veel, julle 3 gaan. Julle 2, die eerste wat vir my die pen bring kan gaan.
Sergeant Sorrel Brits emerges the winner and will be the superintendent's right-hand man. The next morning, the task force slip unnoticed into the bank and are briefed by the superintendent.
We are inside a bank in Johannesburg area. We received information that there might be a robbery taking place here today, and we are in position and ready. They are extremely dangerous and armed with sidearms, AK-47s. We don't know. We don't know how many, we don't know what clothes they're going to wear, so we will have to wait and see what's going to happen now.
Workers arrive to open for business, and the task force, posing as staff, take up their positions throughout the bank.
Okay, toe, ek het jou visual op die kamera hoor. Op jou regterkant is daar kantoor. Daar is 'n dametjie wat op sit. Sy is ook hier deel van jou verantwoordelikheid.
Newcomer Sorrel is feeling the pressure.
How do I feel right now? I feel tense, adrenaline's pumping, exciting. The danger aspect, you don't think at it right now, but it is something you have to consider.
The bank is filling up, and still the task force haven't received the gang's descriptions from a plainclothes team outside.
I don't know, we're not sure whether the guys are in or yet or not.
Did you die?
Jy moet vir my blop by 2 gaan sit.
Okay, toe maar ek is nou daar weer.
Okay, wag, ek het televisie. Polisman en die ouens kom positief. Alle ouens staan by, die manne kom positief in.
At last, the gang's descriptions are received, and Wimpy informs his men.
Polisie uniform, die een ou. Sodra die 2 ouens in die bank is, dan vat ons hulle. The 2 guys are on their way in, one with police uniform and one with a black leather jacket and a cream pants. Sorrel staan by.
Als je hem in uniform maakt, kom maar nou. Kom maar.
Hy dan is julle staan by, die ouens is binne in die bank. Hulle is binne in die bank, hy gaan nou die gang trek.
Sorrel has been tasked with the arrest of the main suspect in the leather jacket.
Let's go. Count down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Politie, gaan op! Let's go! Right is right. Put your hands above your feet. Put your hands above your feet.
Let me see. Are you a policeman? Are you a policeman, sir? Sorry, he's not. All right.
Keep your hands there.
With the situation under control, the customers are led away.
Look that way.
Okay, ma'am. You okay? It's all over, okay?
Gang suspects waiting in the getaway vehicle are arrested and brought inside. More firearms are recovered. In all, there have been 7 arrests.
Well, 2 guys came into the bank, which we did identify. The one was wearing a blue police uniform, and the reason why we noticed that he's not current in the police force was that he was wearing the old insignias. Timing in this type of situation is very essential. If we are 1 or 2 seconds too late, people might get hurt or killed for that matter. And we've arrested 7 suspects. We've also confiscated the getaway car, which was a stolen vehicle.
As if to underline the importance of timing, a later examination of the bank's video footage reveals one suspect drawing his pistol. The next morning, and Vimpy is in a foul mood.
Time!
What happened? You won't believe this. The job we did yesterday in the bank, I received a call this morning. Apparently, some of the suspects were let off the hook due to a lack of evidence.
While Vimpy vents his frustration, on the other side of base, a young task force member was late for this morning's parade. Today, Vimpy is in no mood to forgive and gives the youngster a punishment drill. For the next hour and a half, he will march up and down the tower, carrying a 35-kilogram ammunition box.
Come on, Clive, move it, move it.
The task force don't prosecute any cases, and sometimes the results of their hard work can be very frustrating. Meanwhile, Vimpy's mood has been made even worse.
This is even more unbelievable. I just received a call from the investigating officer. Remember the bank job we did yesterday? The 2 main suspects were given bail. They gave up false addresses to the court, which means that we will probably never see them again. And the whole gang is getting off scot-free. I mean, we at a special task force are here to try and make a difference. And when something like this happens, I mean, we just don't know what to do.
This morning's job is a high-risk arrest. 4 weeks ago, a black police officer was shot dead by a suspect known as Loopy. Police have information that Loopy will be attending the funeral of a close friend who opened fire on police and was shot dead. The task force have been requested to make the arrest. This is an extremely dangerous situation. Over 2,000 people are thought to be attending the township funeral, and detectives estimate a quarter of them may be carrying guns. Despite such overwhelming numbers, the 14 task force members decide to press on. The plan is to arrest Loopy as he's leaving. But by the time they arrive, the funeral is over and people have begun to depart. Undercover officers have been following the procession. The funeral goers have gone on the rampage, violently carjacking several vehicles at gunpoint and shooting at least one man. Now the police surveillance reports that a large amount of drugs and alcohol is being used amongst the mourners. Their emotions are running high. The task force set up a roadblock, but learned that Loopy has once again slipped through their fingers and is now on his way to a party in a nearby township. The task force continue on in an armored vehicle, as townships are areas where even the police fear to tread. An undercover policeman guides the unit into this hazardous area. Loopy is in a group of vehicles arriving at the party.
Get out! Lay down! Lay down! 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 Don't get the fuck out! I didn't do nothing! Hands in your head! Hands in your head!
As the suspect, known as Loopy, is arrested, the crowd becomes enraged.
You can buy those clothes! Fuck off! Put it off, put it off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Look at me now, look at me! You can buy these clothes! Fuck off! You puss, man! Kom maar vergaat! Ja, you puss, man! Hey, 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 hey! Fuck off! You puss, man!
As the situation deteriorates, the task force take their prisoner and leave.
Come here. Maak toe. Waar's feesters? Waar's feesters? Wil nog geen ry nie. Maak eers bout. Hulle gaan daai talle afbrand. Hier kom met klep. Daai maar dis hou toe.
But the man they've arrested isn't Loopy. The undercover detectives had made a mistake. The real Loopy was arrested a month later. The risks the task force took were all in vain. But in the next few days, the dangers will continue as the task force tackles some of the largest organized gangs in the country. Every half an hour, a vehicle is carjacked at gunpoint in South Africa. The dangers to the public are all too clear, as shown in this police awareness video. Today, the task force are readying themselves for an ambush of two suspected carjackers.
Want die staan gaan vir ons en die oomblik as die ander man wat daar staan, as hy begin inloop, is dit vir ons die go, want jy gaan in ons vuurlyn wees aan daai kant. So
an undercover policeman is posing as a dealer of black market guns. He set up a meeting at this deserted farm for the suspects to buy ammunition. The two suspects arrive, having already confided to the undercover policeman that they plan to rob vehicles at gunpoint that afternoon.
Politie! Sastf! 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 Stand! Nee, nee. Nee.
Down.
Violent carjackings in South Africa are the highest in the world and a major problem for the police. The only way to tackle this violent business is to go for the men at the top.
Every year, tens of thousands of cars are being carjacked in South Africa, where most of them end up in illegal garages or chop shops, where they're being stripped for parts, resprayed and resold. We're on our way now to hit some of the biggest chop shops in South Africa.
This is a multi-million-dollar business controlled by organized crime. The illegal garages and chop shops cover an area equivalent to 10 football fields. As a result, the task force have split into 5 helicopter teams, each with their own targets. An airborne approach gives them the element of surprise. As well as carjacking, every year over 90,000 motor vehicles are stolen in South Africa. That's one every 5 minutes. With the local police securing one area, Wimpy and his team move on to their next target. Today's job is aimed at the core of this business, denying the carjackers a way to sell on their stolen vehicles.
Johnson B.
The teams confiscate millions of dollars worth of stolen vehicles and parts. Detectives hope to gather enough evidence to prosecute and bring down some of these carjacking cartels. Back at base, and 2 other members of the task force have had a lucky escape from armed carjackers who tried to steal their car.
As I started getting into the car next to Nicky, we were surprised by 2 armed suspects. The one guy put his weapon into my face and told me to get down on the ground. I wore my weapon, it wasn't concealed, so he took hold of my weapon as well. I was laying on the ground, he was pointing both firearms in at me, and he was kicking and swearing at me. And all of a sudden, I just heard a lot of shots being fired.
I got the opportunity to draw my pistol. I shot at the guy that was standing on top of the superintendent. I shot until he fell down on the ground. The other suspect started shooting and he started running. So I ran towards him and started shooting at him.
After that, Nicky went to look at if he was still alive, and I went back to my suspect, to the suspect that I shot.
And both were dead?
Yeah, both were dead. I would say we were very lucky and
extremely lucky.
Yeah, extremely lucky, and I think it's with the help of God that we are still alive today, for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely.
In South Africa, a robbery using a firearm is committed every 8 minutes. That's 70,000 per year. Today sees the destruction of a captured arms cache, a tiny fraction of the estimated 1 to 2 million illegal firearms in the country. A vast amount of these weapons are smuggled in from neighboring Mozambique. This is the task force's next target. The Special Task Force have been invited in by the Mozambican government to seek out and blow up hidden arms caches left after 17 years of civil war. Their aim is to stop arms traffickers from taking these weapons and smuggling them into South Africa. Not only did the war cripple the country, but it also decimated the wildlife population by up to 85%. Many of the various arms caches are located in the mountains, far from roads or villages. With the help of local intelligence, arms dumps are pinpointed from the air. Once an area is confirmed, the rest of the team are called in by road. With Mozambique's infrastructure virtually non-existent, simply getting to the target area proves to be a challenge. For the final part of their journey, the team must travel for several kilometers on foot.
Hot out here.
The caches are carefully retrieved and logged. These weapons have been buried underground for 18 years. Though they appear totally inoperable, one rusty assault rifle is taken to one side. All it takes is a bit of oil and cleaning before the weapon is fully operational. Thousands upon thousands of these guns are finding their way into the hands of South African criminals, which is why it's so vital for the task force to destroy them. The last arms cache to be blown up is the largest.
Okay, we've got about 700 kilograms of explosive, commercial explosives, and weapons, all sorts, assault rifles, 200 mortar rounds, a lot of pistols, and ammunition, about 20,000 rounds. It's going to be a big bang. Yeah.
Steve, kan ons maar in die boks gooi.
The men must be at least 4 kilometers from the blast.
Get him.
The last 6 trips into Mozambique have seen the Special Task Force destroying tens of thousands of firearms and landmines, as well as 3.5 million rounds of ammunition. For the last 2 months, these recruits have been undergoing a rigorous and diverse selection to join the Special Task Force. Out of an original 300, just this handful survived. The Special Task Force is the only police unit in the world where all members are free-fall parachute trained.
You need to realize one thing. The urban tactics operations is the primary function of the Special Task Force. At least 70% of our work out there is urban related.
For months, these men will train on all types of hostage situations. Finally, after passing 6 months of rigorous selection, these recruits will join the Special Task Force, one of the finest hostage rescue teams in the world.
Hands on your head! Police!
This morning, the task force are going to need all their hostage rescue skills. An 8-year-old girl called Florencia has been kidnapped and is being held somewhere in Johannesburg. A large Nigerian gang believes that the young girl's mother stole 12 kilograms of their cocaine. The mother has denied this, but 2 days ago, the gang snatched the little girl Florencia, as well as her teenage brother and a 25-year-old woman who is a family friend. The gang are demanding their cocaine in exchange for the hostages and have made serious threats against them. They have no idea that the police are involved and recording their every call. As another day breaks, the kidnappers call again, demanding back their things, the code name for their cocaine.
Please, I beg you. I'll give you everything that you want. I promise you. Because she's young, she's just an innocent child. She doesn't know what is going on. I've got your things, and I assured you that I'll give you your things. Just release her.
Without anything, without you giving me my things, you know that it's very, very, very impossible.
Please, Gregory, I beg you. Please, just that small child. That innocent baby.
I'm tired of calling, and you calling me. I'm tired of all these things.
A small team of plainclothes task force arrives and assesses the situation.
What's the number? There's no number.
Meanwhile, Gregory, the gang's spokesman, calls once again.
You want me to help you. You don't want to help me. Why?
I'm scared.
No, nobody is touching you.
What do you mean by nobody's touching me? Nobody's touching me, but you are touching my heart. Please, release the small child. Just the small one. Because she's just innocent. I can't eat, I can't do anything because I just think of her every day.
The mother needs Gregory to confirm that the hostages are still alive.
Let me speak to them first, all of them, to know that they are there with you. I want to speak to all of them now.
After several hours, the mother is allowed to speak to one of the hostages, the 25-year-old woman. It was later discovered that she had been raped by most of the gang. Gregory takes back the phone and becomes aggressive and hostile.
Getting shot. I don't want you to people just bring those things. Bring those things. Bring those things. There is no other way. You understand? It's better for you to understand, not to say yes, yes, just. They don't need them any longer. Not so they are going to cut their finger and throw them at a certain place.
The gang's threats have escalated to mutilation, and the police are trying frantically to trace the kidnappers' calls.
If you don't do it, you don't want the children, you start cutting the fingers off and killing them one by one.
But still, no one knows where the hostages are being kept. Inspector Warren Morris has been in the unit for 8 years.
Okay, well, at this stage, all communications have come to a complete standstill. We've been given, luckily enough, given the night off. The problem is it's bothering me is the situation that we're dealing with. We're not sure of any physical address. There's no, we know that is the target area. What they do know is it's in the general area around Johannesburg, but I mean Johannesburg is massive, so it makes it very tricky not knowing the exact location of the little girl, and apparently they're moving her around. Something like this doesn't happen very often. Sitting together with my family in the evening, having a nice quiet meal. Due to the fact, obviously, because we've been working so hard, and a lot of our work is at night, so one's got to enjoy it and make the best of it when you can.
It's day 4 of the kidnapping, and the negotiations with the gang have reached a critical stage. A large group of plainclothes special task force have been called in and learn that an exchange of drugs for the hostages has been set up for later that day. The police have put together a bag of fake cocaine for the trade. The team's plan involves hiding all their weapons from view.
We're on our way to a park now, where the exchange is going to be done, the drugs and the kids. We've been notified that both kids, all the kids have been picked up at the different places and are on their way there. And our job is actually to go and play touch rugby, like kind of undercover there with our shorts.
Hopefully we'll get the kids, or they'll
no harm will come to them. And then it'll be a bonus if we get the people as well.
We feel positive about this one. It sounds good, the info sounds good. So we can, yeah, I was hoping.
In their undercover role, the men strip to their shorts and wait for the gang to arrive. The plan is to return to the van as soon as the kidnappers arrive, retrieve their guns and save the hostages. But things don't go as intended. As one of the gang's vehicles arrive, the cameraman stops filming. Soon, several other cars appear, and within minutes, the 6 task force members are completely surrounded by suspects. Warren and his team are forced to retreat.
We noticed that the suspects totally surrounded us. They were very alert, very wake up. And for safety purposes, for all of us, we decided rather to get in the car and leave and decide another plan. We'll have to do something else.
Things have gone from bad to worse. During the failed exchange at the park, the gang kidnapped an undercover policeman. It's feared that under torture he may reveal the police's involvement. The kidnappers have not called in the last 7 hours, and there is a growing concern that they may panic and execute the hostages.
Just been called to the office. I'm not exactly sure why. I've got a good suspicion it has got to do with that Nigerian child kidnapping, but we'll have to see. So we get there in time.
At Police HQ, there's been an amazing development. The kidnapped policeman has managed to escape with vital information.
Well, there was a small guy, the one who hit me here. He said, okay, we're going to kill you now. You must tell us. You are a cop. You are a cop. You must tell us. You are a cop. I said, no, guys, I don't know anything. I'm just a teacher. Yes,
sorry.
Okay.
Can you tell us if you've seen any of the hostages?
Well, there was one. No, I didn't see one.
Can you remember maybe the little girl? She must have been.
No. What I've observed is that is a lot of group of people, and all of them they're having fire.
Can you identify the hostages?
Yeah, no, I can identify them.
Are they in Club Africa?
Yeah, they were in Club Africa.
Now?
Yeah, they were in Club Africa now.
Finally, with a confirmed address to hit, the Special Task Force moves into action. With suspects confirmed on the ground floor, another group is tasked to move upstairs to continue the search for the 3 hostages. One by one, the apartments are raided. Shouting is a deliberate tactic used to dominate the people in the rooms. Lastly, the men assault the top floor. Suddenly, a little girl is found, and the operation comes to a halt.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah,
it's fine. Me.
Okay. Yeah, okay, all right.
It's
fine.
Whose child is this? It's ours, it's my sister's.
Ominously, none of the hostages are in the building. But downstairs, officers have had more success. A search of a vehicle reveals a suitcase containing young girls' clothing. They're identified as forensiers. In return for a reduced sentence, one gang member agrees to take the task force to the safe houses where the hostages are being held. After the gang's threats of mutilation, nobody's sure what they will find.
What's her name?
She is the smoking.
Okay. Designer. Don't worry. Don't worry, huh? We're the police. We're the good people, huh? Don't worry, huh? Don't worry.
Florencia is found unharmed.
Okay.
Arrested in the house is Gregory, the gang spokesman who threatened to cut off Florencia's fingers. As Florencia is taken to her mother, another task force team, acting on the gang members' information, have successfully rescued the 2 other hostages. Everyone is reunited back at the police station. Finally, after 4 long days, Florencia and her mother are reunited. For the Special Task Force, it has been yet another hostage rescue successfully resolved.
Okay, this morning on parade we got some bad news. We've just heard the job that we did with the Nigerian gang that kidnapped that little girl have all walked scot-free due to the fact that there was no evidence laid in court. No one turned up to give evidence, not the little girl's parents or family, not even the raped woman. And the case was thus thrown out of court, and the Nigerian gang are back on the streets. We would have obviously liked to have had them behind bars, where all criminals should be. But there's one good thing, I suppose, is that at least we saved the day on the time of the job. We got that little girl out of that hostage situation. But on the other hand, I mean, that whole gang that we took a lot of time and effort into arresting and took a lot of risks are back wandering around on the streets, and who knows what they're going to do now. But we'll try and forget about that and carry on. Wait for the next situation and see what happens with that.
With the unit averaging 750 major jobs a year, it's only a matter of hours before the Special Task Force are called into action once more.